So the point G is 10, 5, 6, which means that this side is 10 units long, this side here is 5 units long, and this side here is 6 units long. So if we want the coordinates of different points, A is the origin, so that's 0, 0, 0. B is the next point. You can see that's 10 along on the x, 0 on the y, and 0 on the z. C is 10 on the x, 5 on the y, and 0 on the z. And then we've got the point D, which is, now we're starting at the origin A, so we're moving x in the 0 direction, we're moving 5 in the y direction and 0 in the z direction. The point E, so that's 0, 0 in the x, 0 in the y, and 6 in the z. F, that's 10 along in the x, 0 in the y, and 6 in the z. We already know G, and then H is, so it's 0 in the x, 5 in the y, and 6 in the z. So here we have the solution to question 2, the square-based pyramid, 337. So the point E is 337. Now, what does that mean? Well, A is the origin again, so that's 0, 0, 0. B, now, to get to the point E, what we have to do is to go halfway along AB, and then halfway along BC, and then up. So if E has coordinates 337, it means this here, this halfway point, is 3 along from A. And this distance here is also 3. What that means then is that AB equals BC equals 6. So it's a square-based pyramid. So the point B then is 6 in the x, 0 in the y, 0 in the z. The point C, so that's 6 in the x, so that's from A to B is 6, from B to C is 6, and 0 in the z direction. And the last point we have to get is the point D, which is 0 in the x, 6 in the y, and 0 in the z. The last one, what we have here is a triangular prism. So we know the point C has coordinates 4, 8, 0, so that means that, so here's the origin here, so it's 4 along from A to B, and from B to C it's 8. Now, okay, so A and B then. A is the origin again. B is 4 in the x, 0 in the y, 0 in the z. We know what C is. And D then. Now, we start at A, we move 0 in the x, 8 in the y, and 0 in the z. And the first problem, I think, is the point E. Now, what we have to understand is that AEB is an isosceles triangle, which means that this point E then is halfway along AB. So if I want to get from A to E, so it's going to be 2 in the x, it's going to be 0 in the y, and the pyramid has a height of 5, or the triangle has a height of 5 rather. Now, so it's 2, 0, 5. We want to get the point F, so it's going to be 2 in the x again, but this time we have to go 8 in the y, so it's 2 in the x takes us to this point here. 8 in the y takes us to this point, and 5 up.